such a big saw. My order from Wix is here. So here's the question, do I leave it outside or do I take it in? I think I'll take it in. I stuck the camera on my stairs so that I could catch me bringing the rest of the delivery in. And then I realised that the guy had driven off and that my delivery was actually coming in 2 separate parts. But about an hour later... Great, thank you very much. Yeah, I got that. He definitely didn't trust that I had it. That guy's hands were gripping onto this for dear life. Is that everything? Yeah, it is. Oh, amazing. Thank you. These guttering joints are for me to redirect my guttering into my water butt. What we have here, this very long piece of timber, I'm going to use to make a platform, which you would have seen in one of my previous videos, for the front garden, so I can put my water butt on it. I don't know if you can see, that might be just off screen. But this looks like a very sturdy piece of wood. It looks reasonably straight, so they've picked me up a good piece, which is great. This was my piece of decking that will be just enough to make my little platform. How exciting. It smells amazing. I'm so glad that's here though, because I was desperate to pop out and get myself some sourdough bread, so. It's been quite a slow start to the morning because I was up all night worrying about my insignificant problems, which I'm sure is very relatable. But now I'm fully awake. It's probably about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and I've just had delivery of my goods from Wix for a video that I'm going to be producing for them next week. And in particular, there's a tool that I've been needing for a really, really long time, and I've not had it, but I finally bit the bullet to get it this time for this project because it's the right tool to use for the work that I'm doing. And to get the best cuts, you need a miter saw. You can't see it with that picture, so that was not quite the reveal I was hoping for. There's the miter saw. Now I have a circular saw, and the circular saw is what I tend to use for most of my projects, but it's not the easiest thing to use to get straight lines. Special treat today, an unboxing. Who would have thought? I'm going to get some scissors so that I can open it properly. I don't know if any of you experience this in your own homes, especially if you're someone who has children. Where do the scissors always go? Where do they go? They're never where they should be, in the kitchen drawer. The worst thing about this is because I live here by myself, I know that I'm the only person who's lost the scissors, and that's really annoying because I would rather blame someone else. Very annoying. Ooh, here we go. Got a little box to begin with. I'm guessing that's got, you know, perhaps the parts that make it build. I've got no idea what I'm talking about here. It's got this protective layer. There's a little triangle in there. I wonder what that's for. That looks like it might be important. I wonder if it pops out. I guess it must be part of the unit, but I don't know what that's for yet. There's also that's for the dust. This is a Makita saw. Instructions, they're going to come in handy. Some sort of protective guide, I assume. It's very oily, so it must be part of the mechanics somehow of a moving part. That's very oily. I'm not going to put that on the sofa. I'm going to put that. Wow, you need to come and see this. Look at that. Take its coat off. What a stunning saw. I can't begin to tell you how many projects would have been easier if I'd have bought one of these to begin with. But I always made do with what I had, because it does take up quite a lot of space. It's obviously an additional expense, but to be honest, there comes a time where it costs you more to use the wrong tool. This is what I always say to people when they're picking up new tools. Make do with what you have. You can borrow tools from friends. You can find ways to use the tools that you have for other uses. And then once you build up a bit more competency, perhaps you've saved a little bit of money and you want to buy some new tools, you can always upgrade in the future, but it's a process. You don't need to have everything at the start. I think I probably need to take this downstairs and work out where it's going to go first, so that when I lift it out, it can go straight onto a steady surface. But let me give you some close-ups. There we have the cutting guide to work out what angle you want to cut at. Some very handy no hand stickers. But what a lovely colour as well. Look at this teal. This is actually my first piece of Makita kit, so I'm really interested to see how it performs. I've heard great things, but I know people really rate Makita, so I'm about to find out. Okay, I think I've worked out what this triangular piece is for. It's called a triangular rule, and it's in the section about how to adjust the machine if it's slightly off centre, if it's not true how it's cutting. So you basically line it up against, I don't know, that's supposed to be the blade. Or this is some sort of, what's number 2? Oh, it is the blade, saw blade. And there you can see it's supposed to fit neatly between the blade and the back of the unit, so that will tell you whether it's actually got a true angle. I did like this though. The tool is carefully adjusted and aligned at the factory, but rough handling may have affected the alignment. What do they mean? What do they mean by rough handling? Do they mean the person using it hasn't been very careful when sawing into stuff, or do they just mean that it might be misadjusted in transport? Or yeah, so this is about alignment. That's what that's for. So there we go. But we're going to learn more about this tool after I go to lunch, because I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten yet today. Like I say, I think it's about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, so no wonder that I'm hungry. I'm going to go get myself some sourdough bread. Forgot the sourdough bread after all that. What I'm going to do down here is I want to clear off this table. This has been really good to store all of my different dry materials, because I don't want it to go on the floor and soak up all the moisture. But I kind of need to use this table, so I'm going to clear this off, try and find somewhere else to put it. I'm going to put the miter saw on there. This is such a prime example of wanting to do one job and having to do 10 before you can complete it. So typical. I've got these little pop steps that you can use for painting ceilings and things like that. I'm going to open these up and put them on the floor, and I'll put the dry materials on here so that they still don't have to go on the floor. I've got a whole bunch of accessories that come with a recent pressure washer that I got. So I'm going to stick them all in this bag so they're all in the same place. An interesting fact that you might not know about materials like plaster, they actually have a use-by date. This is because over time, moisture gets absorbed into the powder, and when you try to use it, it sets a lot faster. So it's better to use it when it's fresh. That's when you're going to get the best performance out of the material. This is used by March 21. I think probably most people at this point would have to relent and throw it away, because it will be really, really hard to work with, and it would actually cost you less in terms of your time and efforts to buy a fresh bag. But I'm a cheapskate, so I'm still going to use it. I'll just have to work very fast with it. It will make my job a bit more difficult, but I will find a way. And just before I do that, I don't want to miss the opportunity to give it a quick clean. Heavy. Whenever I get a new tool, I'm one of those people that loves to read the manual front to back. I watch loads of YouTube videos on how to do it. Might even pop this on the floor. And more importantly, I look up the kinds of mistakes that people frequently make. Because I don't just want to know how to use it, I want to know, how do the accidents happen? And this way, I know what it is that I need to avoid. That's where the scary saw bit is. That's why you'll see me giving a lot of attention to this setup and giving the saw the respect it deserves. I have what I would describe as a very healthy fear of power tools. Such a big saw! Box is now done. Something I'd love to know from you. Do you save the boxes from your tools to put them back into? I never know whether to get rid of them. It's just, you can't get rid of a good box. But what do you do? How do you deal with a box of your tools? So here it is. So here it is. And obviously I won't be plugging this in or switching this on until I've really understood what this tool is about, how it works, how I can use it safely. I'm really excited to get started though. I was just on my way upstairs to get my pizza out of the oven, which is definitely about to burn. I thought I ought to feed my fish. I went and had a look at the water and it looks a little bit murky. It's very common that at the start of spring there's a real increase in algae and debris in the pond. So I'm just going to test the water to make sure that everything is as it should be, because if it was off this would become my priority for today. So let's have a little look. So these are all of the things that get tested for. The main things that we're worried about are the level of nitrates in the water. Little stick, dip it in the pond. So for everything apart from the 2 nitrates at the top, we check these bottom results after about 15 seconds. The total hardness of this water is very, very low. So that's something that might be worth me looking at. All of that's okay. I don't know whether it being 0 is okay. It looks like it's red. I've not had this problem before, which is why I'm going to want to investigate that a little bit. Total alkalinity, that fits there. So that's in the appropriate number value. Carbonates, that's also about here, so that's good as well. pH, again on the lower end, but it's still within tolerance. And most importantly, the 2 nitrates at the top, they don't have any level of pink, so there's not problems with nitrates in the water. The nitrates can increase when there's quite a lot of waste in the pond. Perhaps if one of the fish died and it was in there for a long time, that decomposition would increase the nitrates by quite a lot. And the nitrate is really, really bad for the fish, and it can cause fish to die, which is why if one dies and you don't take it out, it can cause the rest of them to die as well. So good news about the nitrates. I definitely want to find out a bit more about what's going on with the total hardness of the water. But I think it would be really rude for me to have shown you all of this and not do a fish show and tell. If you've seen my videos from last year and the year before, not on YouTube but on other channels, you would have seen that some of these fish were born here. So I noticed that they were spawning. I picked up some of the eggs, kept them safe, and in total 7 fish were born from the fish that I already have. And so I will point out the ones that are babies to you, because they're not babies anymore. It's obviously sunny, so it's not the easiest to see. But that there is Mrs. Kingfisher. That's Mr. Kingfisher Jr. All of these smaller ones you can see here, these are the babies. There's one that you probably won't be able to see, which is a black one who's there. He's called Pain in the Ass for obvious reasons. These are speckled fish that are the babies of the fish back there that you can't really see. There he is. He's a boy as well. And it's almost time for them to do spawning again, so it'd be interesting to see if they decide to have more babies this year. Pizza's definitely burning now. Never learn. Ah! So these are all of the... fuck, as you're told.